Okay, so it's 2:22. That little steam machine over here. He's well, I guess he's probably put out because like I think I swear to God, I think these dogs see me as territory or something. I don't think they see me as a person who has their own needs and stuff. Like it's just trippy because like whatever their perspective is it's different how their life pursuit or something. But anyways, I swear to God, he needs a papoose or something. He thinks I need a fucking pocket so I can just carry him in my kangaroo pocket or something. I can't believe how he feels like he has to be touching me all the time. It's like, and he gets his feelings so hard if I don't let him get up in the chair. And he takes up so much of the chair. It's like, I need a whole fucking couch. This is, this garage living is rough, man. After, or just, you know, living rough is rough. However it is, living without your own space and your own things and your own routines and everything, and going into someone else's space is rough, man. And leaving your space and going into the great unknown, because there's a lot of people who are just out there just like flailing. But I have to keep reminding myself, like, luckily I'm not out there. I'm in here. But it still is like, man, I can't wait. I can't wait for things to start turning and shifting. And there's a lot of drama going this week because he's headed for Fort Knox. And I guess that's the thing they're going to film or something. And it's kind of trippy is because this is supposed to be America's money. And they're supposed to have all this gold in Fort Knox. And it's our money. So whatever is going to go down about the drama of seeing it. But what's trippy is that they really do have all this gold because I don't know where it is though. I don't know where they've put it. It obviously isn't going to be at Fort Knox because this has got to be to show that they have fucked us all. And so I don't know how it's all going to play out, you know, because they're talking about sending out money to everybody and trying to figure out the amount. And yesterday, as my mom left with her friends, and I was upstairs using her oven and I was cooking, and oh man, it was. I don't know how people can leave this stuff on all day long. It was wearing my brain out so bad. I couldn't believe it. I was becoming so depleted and so exhausted. It was making me feel so tense. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And everything is like really high volume. I don't know if, I can't figure out if it is like people start not hearing or they start not paying attention. So they think if I turn it up louder, I'll pay attention. But they still go off in their own minds and they don't pay attention. So you have this loud volume and then you try and talk to them and you're screaming over. But anyways, it's louder than what I can hear in there. That's non-fucking stop. Oh my God, damn. I swear to God, I don't, but I saw a couple things. This CPAC or some fucking political shit's going on. And that's where all these people keep saying this stuff and where people found out like they're doing transgender surgery on fucking animals on our dime and all this shit. And how absurd, and more coming out on the beagles and shit. There's just so much bad stuff. Fuck, man. It's like I can drain you. One thing though that was really, in one of the shows or one of the commentators or something was that Jack Prosbiak or whatever his name is, and I used to see him all the time when I was on Twitter, and I didn't know who he was or anything, but man, I've seen him on there, and I don't know if there was a shift, if he was like a nobody and then he was on here or something, but it just is too hyped up. It's I don't know. Like commercials, Jack Brosby, is the best person in the whole wide world. I don't know, it was just weird as fuck. But then they had this fucking, their sponsor. So they have a sponsor of somebody who is, it's not like to help you not have your identity stolen. It's to help you not have your house stolen out from under you. And so when they're talking about it, and what was getting me is they were giving you great details. Great details. So even if you've never even thought of doing something like that, they told you exactly how to go do it. You got a lot of desperate people out there. And they told him all the crimes that you can do with it, exactly how to do it. I was like, this is whacked, man. This is whacked. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Here, we're just gonna tell you about how to do this crime because, you know, you probably don't know. And they act like it's like they're trying to give us insight of how to protect ourselves. This constant fear, protect yourself. Pay us, we'll protect you. It's like fucking knee breaker and fucking bullshit. And it's so crazy is there's so many of these people who think like, oh, well, we're legit. We're really trying to help people and stuff. But they don't realize like you're feeding off of an energy here. And it's like, no, I don't know why you can't recognize it. But anyways, there's just constant fear propaganda all the time. And then plus when you have this whole group of people who is just living off propaganda. I said a couple of things yesterday on TikTok. I don't fucking remember. Something just get up my ass and I'll just go on a little mini rant. And it draws in these people who, and I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what everybody thinks about the borders and shit. I'm going by God. I'm going by God's law. I'm going by spiritual law. And people want to keep on arguing over this shit. It's like, whatever. To me, I hear you talking and you sound like a prisoner of the 3D. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. But this one girl would not fucking stop. She's like, you're draining me too. This fucking nonsense. Drain. Plus, I was having the stomach flu again. Just comes fucking out. It rolls in with the fog, coincidentally. And then I'll be saying, like, I'm sick. Oh, what'd you eat? It's, what did I breathe? Oh, my God. It's like, what is... If you can eat it, and they can spray it, you're breathing it. Like, and then... there's so many conversations. I'm like being really flooded right now. I'm so flooded right now of all these different things. Okay, so wait a minute. Where to go? There's a lot. I have a lot of emotions or something tied to a whole lot of stuff. And so anyways, I was sick. And what was weird too is that like right through my belly button where I've been talking about this weird thing is going on, which I think it has. This is just my conjecture, my hypothesis, is that when I started healing and I started trying to break down the adhesions in my stomach from the surgeries, is that maybe there was like a pocket or something, like a little pocket. Maybe it was even had a low-grade infection that I've been fighting for fucking years. You just don't know. And which is so trippy because we're not really like this whole thing is so trippy. So anyways, but they went through my belly button so many times. And in that video, the doctor talked about the C-section thing and how bad it is. So he didn't bring up the belly button thing. I was like, yeah, they fucking have gone through. They've treated my goddamn C-section as just a way in. Oh, well, we'll just use the same one. And you just think, okay, well, you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't want you cutting new ones. But they're constantly needed to go in, and then they just keep going through. And you're just building scar tissue and stuff. And they've done that in my belly button, too. And so my belly button is jacked, man. And so anyways, when I was breaking up the adhesions and stuff, I always noticed that, and I talked about it, there seemed to be like this hard spot. It wasn't little tiny. It was like a hard spot behind my belly button. And, you know, I mean, all the time I would think it was like fat or something. It's like a little fat spot or something. But then as I started doing the adhesions and all of that, I started thinking, man, I think there's like, you know, realizing about my belly button. But anyways, once that started and I started breaking that down, I swear to God, that's when it started having this leaking, this weird leaking of this weird smell. And it always is the exact same smell. And I don't even know how to explain it. Like, how to explain it. It just smells like I don't know how to explain it. And so, anyways, yeah, I guess kind of, yeah, I don't know. It's too many variables. Like if you said, oh, it could smell like that, there's just too many variables. So anyways, so it started with this leaking thing. So anyways, yeah, a couple days ago, it started with the stomach flu. And so I took some horse paste because I was like, well, if I'm getting hit with some, and today my patches come. So I'm really looking forward to that because it's supposed to heal every fucking thing. So, a couple days ago, I started getting the stomach flu. So I took the horse paste. And so I wasn't sure if it was the stomach flu the next day or the getting rid of whatever's there. But then yesterday, but for a couple of the days, I was getting this really weird band like around my belly button, like if you had a belt on or something, and it was hurting around there in the inside of me. And I was like, man, what the fuck? And I was getting uncomfortable, and I don't want to feed the energy of like, oh my God, I've got this, oh my God, I've got that, because you'll give it to yourself. So you got to get your shit together. And so even if you're scared or you just can't feed that fear, you can't feed that pain or anything like that. So brought to my awareness, though, that I was having this band thing in my stomach, and then I was having this stomach flu. And so then my mom was leaving, so I was going to cook, and so I decided, because I was making a pizza and we had already talked about it using her oven, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to make some cookies too. So I was up there making a cookie, and then I brought the dog dishes up and cleaned them in the sink, like I did some stuff, so I kept being up there a lot and hearing all that stuff, and it was getting me to feel more tense. So I definitely, whatever, I felt tense yesterday, the tension or whatever. And so at some point, and then my stomach started doing the leaking thing again, and I was like, something is going on. I don't know what the fuck, but I also felt exhausted. And the dogs kept sleeping, so her dogs were sleeping. It seemed like, man, everybody's sleeping. I'm just going to go lay down and go sleep. So I went and laid down, like, I don't know, 2 o'clock or something, and laid down and went to sleep. And then I think I woke up like around 4:30. And then I think my mom got home like about a half hour later or something. So I went to go see if she wanted any of the pizza. And then so I brought it back down here because I knew me and the dogs would eat it. And she went out to pizza with her friends. But anyways, so so anyways, I was really tired when I went up there. And so I was like, I didn't feel like talking much then. I came downstairs and the raper was going in on something. And he piles up blankets, he piles up toys, he pulls in, like, I mean, he had just gotten his balls done when they rescued him. So how many ever years he lived, and who knows what his history was, but he was, full packing. So maybe he had a lot of sex or something. I don't fucking know. Maybe they did a lot of street sex. I don't know. Maybe he was on every sniffing mouth. I have no idea. But he is like another level. It's like, what in the holy hell? And so he is down here, gathered up the blankets. He's going to town. And then, and if you talk to him, which is the worst, because then he just makes eye contact with you and he won't break eye contact. It's like, oh my God, stop it. And I don't want to be mean to him or anything, but I do kind of be like, oh my God, that's so sickening. Stop it. God, you're so gross. I'm kind of a little degrading, but anyways, it's like, man, I fucking don't know. It's just so weird. It's like, I thought dogs that didn't have balls, that they didn't have an interest in that. And obviously doesn't need whatever was in those. And because everything is going, and he obviously something happens, because then once he's done and he's like, oh, give me a cigarette, somebody. And Archie runs over sniffing it out, like, and little mister, he's like learning from this one. It's like, oh Lord, please. And so he goes over sniffing it out, and he's like all turned off, so he starts peeing on it. I was like, what in the holy hell? and yell at me, stops, and they both knew. Like, I mean, they know. Like, this is what's just so strange is like everybody thinks. I don't know. We all have our own relationships with our animals and stuff. And people, oh, well, dogs don't listen. What are you doing talking to them and stuff like that? Well, mine listen. Like I talk to them. Like mine can understand fucking sense. Yeah, I disagree. That's all I can say is I disagree. It's not been my experience. but but a lot of times people communicate through yelling and stuff at their dogs, so they don't know. Like, so, anyways, and I look at them as souls. Like he knows that I'm like, what the fuck, dude. So, anyways, I go take those blankets up there and I say something, and it's just so crazy too, is because I think moms, it doesn't matter how old the kid becomes, moms can't help but go. And so, it's just like, I was way too tired. I was just like, but still, it puts things into your mind, you know, because you have these lessons in it, and it's always like, you know, some people would go up and say, yell, you never, you know, and start yelling and stuff like that at a parent or somebody or sibling or whatever if they disagree or whatever. People have got all sorts of tensions. And so, and it does have a trigger of feeling like if somebody's talking down to me or something. I think lots of people do. But it's like, you know, instead of reacting and being like, because, you know, she started telling me like, well, you need to do this, you need to do that, and talking to a dog, like, and I was just like, and it's like, I don't have it. I was like, okay, that's your perspective or whatever. I just came downstairs and got to bed. But I think that bothered her because then she sent me a message because she went up there and she's looking it up. Like, why are dogs humping and stuff like that? Because she sent me a long message to tell me. And so I have been doing the right thing. And I knew I was just like an instinctual. I didn't go up there because I needed somebody to fix it for me. I just needed to bitch about something and to be like, what the hell? Like, and I thought maybe she would be like, well, yeah, I've heard of dogs being humping all the time after they've been fixed, you know. But anyways, the conversations always go in a different direction. And, but those can be big triggers, you know, and that's where, you know, I just go and think it through and put things into perspective and let things go. It's not just like let them go or whatever, but it's just like, you know, you just start seeing things in a broader perspective. And one thing, you know, is like, well, I think moms can't help themselves, but, you know, well, I'm going to fix it, but this is what you need to do. Kind of thing. And but it helps me with my awareness to not be like that either, because if I don't want somebody to do it to me, I'm not going to do it to somebody else. So I'm going to be, you know, when my kids are saying something, I'm just going to sit in the, you know, like co-pilot or sit in the back seat and just listen. I'm not going to fix it for you. I'm not going to tell you what you're doing wrong and how you should do it right. But anyways, but those are just all these things. Like I said, everything that where you're at has got things for you to learn or grow or whatever. And there's just these weird little triggers that'll come out of nowhere, and then you have to process through them. The only thing is I think that a lot of people are reactive, and so they react to the trigger, and then it becomes a fight. And so that's why you want to notice your trigger and be like, oh, you know, this is bothering me. I feel, you know, it'll bring up rejection, like it can bring up all this stuff. But those things, these interactions are meant to bring these things up because they have a lot of things associated that aren't just in this life, so that you can release them. And so it's more effective for you to go in and process than it is to go in some, how dare you say this to me? Even though that it could be your instinct. And your dark energy would be feeding into that, you know, yeah, somebody can talk to you, the guilt there, you know. So anyways, that, you know, when a trigger happens, and it can be the most dumb thing, you know, it doesn't have to be some huge thing or something, or they slide into your DMs And so they can come out of nowhere and you don't. And, but that's where you catch yourself on your instinct of reacting. Your reactivity is what you want to get a hold of so that you can go in and process rather than react. And then you can go through and just put things in perspective. And it will go through a lot, you know, and it's going to pertain more to your life, your history, how you look at things. So I can't like tell you, well, go from A to B to C to D. You know, you got to follow your guidance. You got to follow your own internal map. Nobody can tell you. That's why this life coach stuff is absurd. Nobody can tell you. All they can tell you is you got to listen to what's inside of you. You have got to. This is you figuring you out. You are you're an explorer, and this is the landscape, and you are right in the map of how you where things are inside of you. So it's you discovering yourself. And so yeah, nobody can tell you how to do that. You know, but I can just tell you like these ways that I have managed through my healing, my self-discovery, my turning the page and going a different direction, my getting off of the dark timeline and going into the one going towards the light. The one in the dark is the one that just beats you down, but you play the victim in it and you feel sorry for yourself, and so you can drown in it. And once you turn on the lights and you make a decision with intention to go in another direction, then you have to start looking at things different, because you have to be turning the lights on. It's like going into an old mansion that hasn't been lit up for a long time, and you got to go around and, yeah, I see it like those gas lights. You got to go in every room and light the room, and as you light the light in each room, it brings up shadows, and the shadows can be intimidating and overwhelming, but that is your healing. So every time you light a light, you've got this room that is suddenly lit with things that you need to perceive and look at so that you can heal. And so going on to your lighting timeline isn't just like all of a sudden you just take a jump and everything's great. All you got to do is just keep thinking great, great, great. Everything's great, great, great. No, it doesn't work like that. And so once you go in and you light the first room, then you got to go up the stairs. You got to light the next one, the next one, the next one. You got to go from room to room, and it will happen naturally. It's like it's already laid out for you. You don't have to get up in the morning and it's like, how am I going to get that light on? No, something will happen. And if something doesn't happen, you're on a break in between. You're getting from one room to the next, or you still haven't finished processing the other one. And so it's not going to jump you into the next one unless you have, I mean, sometimes you can feel like you've got a lot of things going at once, but a lot of times to me, it was like a very focused healing on something. So I'd be healing something, and it could take, sometimes it could take a couple days, sometimes it could take a couple weeks. And say even, you think you're feeling much better, you're not crying, you can think about it and stuff like that. But then all of a sudden, the phone rings and somebody says something, and it's like, and that's because it's supposed to happen that way. It's supposed to bring it all out. You're not supposed to just, clean it up a little. You're supposed to get rid of it. And so sometimes there can be layers to it. And so you're going through things. So you just got to go at your natural pace because it's laid out for you. It's not something where you have to rush it or figure it out. It will all happen naturally. And even if you want to rush it, that is something where you got to look at yourself like, what am I trying to rush? Where am I trying to get to? What am I trying to do? Don't I want to do all the things necessary to get to where I'm going? And so there's a plan, So going on to your best timeline is, work. It's not like you just jump out of hell and you go into heaven. There's still a lot that you've got to face to go from one to the other. And one thing too, I saw this woman, I've seen her a couple times, but she was the first thing that came on my TikTok this morning. And she said, she was talking about things happening and stuff. And she said about because she made a mention of something about when you're manifesting, you can't just go write it down and then you just, write it down and that's it. And that's all you do. She said you have to take action. You have to go towards the thing that you're going after. That's what I've been saying this whole motherfucking time. Is like this other thing that they tell you, like The Secret or whatever, and just write it down, just look at it all the time. No, you got to take action. And when you take action towards it, it automatically, to me, it goes into, you're taking action towards something because you believe it. And so you're taking action towards it because you believe it. But in the interim, you will have people that will cross your path that will think you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Where are you going? What are you doing? And so those are things you got to heal and process. Then you have different things, like I said, these healing to prepare you, because you can't just go from being a victim into being a champion. There's work to do in between. And so it's like you got to prepare for the marathon or something. You can't just go and be, one of the first people to cross the thing when you haven't worked out in years. You have work to do. And so anyways, but that is about where you are manifesting your life, is going towards your, and then you can't just say desires, because people are so screwed up on their desires that they're not in touch with their purpose. Like, you have a purpose, you have something that is like guiding you, and that is what you need to focus your desires on, your purpose, and go towards it with intention. And that is the manifestation of your best timeline or whatever. So, but anyways, that, oh my God. What else was I going to say about that? It's raining outside. The fog yesterday, and it's so trippy too, is like when you say things about like how weird the sky looks, and things don't look weird to some people. They don't see, like, we're all seeing different things. It's so weird in the colors and stuff outside. And my mom said yesterday, well, this one doctor was saying you need to go out at sunrise and sunset to get the red light stuff. And I said, I have a red light. And he said, well, you need to go outside during those periods of times. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't want that red outside. And, she's like, well, that's what you have to do. And I was like, that's what the doctor says. And I said, I don't give a shit. Like, there's no way. That is not, what you're seeing out there is not the sunset. And the color, it's different. I don't know how to explain it, because when I was younger, it was different. The sky was way different. And which reminds me of, so supposedly there is 16 or 17 pods down under the ocean that are all science experiment cities. And it is basically, they've done the same thing as they've done here, is that they gave them a reality. And they told them that that's all it is. There's some of those places down there that think that there's nothing else out there. Micro, macro, dude. It's like so trippy. But, and so I don't know if that's going to be a part of, I don't even know if it's for sure true. I know that they had that in that Netflix show. I talked about it before. And then that show went off. And I think, that they do. I think that they do. I think that we're an experiment. I think there's all sorts of experiments. But supposedly they took all these embryos down there. It's like, grow these baby. And how many people's DNA? Oh, man, it's so weird. God. Oh, my God, yes. In that fucking show where they made, like, everybody that was in the underneath were, like, clones of us. Oh, if it is, like, they took all these people's DNA and they made these embryos, and so it is like a clone of you. He's living out in this existence down there or somewhere, because there's supposedly some up here on the land too. These people are busy, man, just fucking with people. So, But those are realities, you know, those are places where souls come to experience. But so, you know, I don't know. You know, it would seem like we would be going down there and rescuing these people and letting them see. They tried to do that though with the ones that were in the tunnels and stuff, and they were, when they were bringing them up, supposedly they were falling apart because of the atmospheric change or something, and so they were falling apart. It was supposedly, it was really horrible. And then they had to go down, so they had to bring the doctors down. Not very many were able to come out. And so I don't know if it'd be the same thing if they got them way down on the ocean floor. I don't know. Everything's so weird. It's so weird. But anyways, I thought that was interesting because I do think that, and that they do go and start these weird little, I don't know, like it's petri dishes everywhere of their experiments and stuff. And these people are unethical. They don't have a thought about God. They don't have of like thinking about like, what would God want? What would I soul? What would, you know, they don't think of it on that level. They're more godless. They're more driven by their ego and greed because they start making a lot of money off of it because they're driving their ego, and this is in the dark. And these people who run these shows, well, that's what they are using inside of you to elevate, I guess, to become your drive. So you're driven by your ego instead of your soul. And but your ego is like an aspect of you, so it's not like, because in your orb form, I think you still have, you know, you have your light and your dark, so you still have your ego, even if you are an orb, you know, I think. But the thing is in this reality, they feed that part, and that part, just like the two wolf heads or whatever in the Indian thing, is that the one, whichever one you feed is the one that's going to have the most time, you know. And so to me, it's, you know, feed the light. But the thing is like in this world, feeding the light, you don't fit in so much. And so feeding the dark is more of a accepted way of living. And so most people are feeding their dark side, and they're being driven by their ego. And that's why all this is about the shadow work, the ego death, and all that stuff. You can't kill your ego, but you can notice it. You can get control of it. You can notice what the hell is up with it. And it's, to me, it's like the fetishes, emotions, trigger, like it's all with that. It's all in that. It's all a part of the plan of healing or something. But the one thing that gets people so irate is my perception on borders and stuff. And, you know, it's crazy because all of this stuff that is going on, because even Donald yesterday, he was talking about the money. And he said, you know, he wants to send everybody out money, but we also have this huge debt. And he said it makes sense for us to pay off all this debt. And then he said, with a portion of it. And then, because I keep hearing these different things. Some of them are, we're giving a portion to the people, a portion to the debt, and then we'll have all this other money left. But then what do we do with that? And so, I don't know. It's just all this talking to get our attention. But anyways, he said, you know, pay off all this debt because that makes sense to me. Well, we don't want to be in debt. And then he said, but, you know, it's up to the will of the people. I'm here to do what you guys want, whatever you guys want. And that's what I've been saying. This is what it's going to be. This is all, it's us. And so, and this is like, they keep trying to like bring things to our attention to help us. But it's us changing is what changes everything. And so this is, you know, it's like a slow, tedious process. That's all. It's very slow. And so, especially like since 2016, when you've been telling people how weird things look and stuff like that, and just like we're going on 10 years of this, you know, of people thinking you're crazy because they don't see what you see and stuff. And there's a lot of this stuff that is like mentally exhausting, but that is your part of your healing and your triggers that you're here to heal. So, You know, it's not like you're just sitting back like waiting for everybody to figure it out, because you'll find triggers in there. And so anyways, the so that's going to be the thing of, you know, it's going to be like what we want. This Fort Knox thing, when they go and see, it's all going to unravel. There's going to be a lot of unraveling of things. So however they're going to crash this thing, because somehow they're getting us on the gold standard. I even just saw pictures of our new money, and it's really pretty. And so yeah, things are gonna be changing, and we're gonna be going on this other money thing, not this one that they've had us on, but they have to show how bad it is and corrupted it. Like, there's a lot to show. And, you know, but I do see people talking about this stuff now, so it's working. It's working on waking them up and everything, but it's gonna be us being like, well, we don't like that. Well, we want our money back and stuff. So there's going to be more money coming back to us. I just don't know how it's all going to go. I wish it would hurry. But, I mean, the universe knows what the timing is about. And sometimes, you know, you don't get things that you want right then because you would do something that you're not supposed to do. And so you're supposed to wait until things come into alignment for you. So you have to go with the flow instead of trying to force things, and I want this and I want that, you know what I mean? So, but whatever I had said about the border thing, so let me think what it was. Oh yeah, because the one thing I was going to say yesterday, but something got in the way, was I was seeing it as about a girl, and she was really angry, and but how I was seeing it was like she was an extension of her father's anger, and she didn't realize, like, she was carrying forth that anger, but part of that anger was her drive, because we do have a lot of girls out there who are super angry, and they don't look at themselves as being angry like how they would look at their fathers and stuff. But that is why we're an echo. That's why we're an expression of who it is, so that we can see these things and stuff. But people are blind to their own stuff. They could sit there and think, oh, my dad was such a dick. He was so angry all the time and stuff like that. And then just don't realize, like, what you are, like, they don't have that perception where other people could see them. And then of other people's perspective, they're like, fuck, that girl's always angry. And so anyways, everything is about perspective, and most people don't have a good one of their own, of themselves. But so I had said something, oh yeah, it was something about the indigenous thing, because there's a really cool thing. They're giving them they're bringing the buffalo back to all the reservations, and so they're giving them all like 6 or 8 or 12. They're giving them all some buffalo, and it's really cool to see the videos. It would get you emotional. I'm getting emotional just seeing it in my head. And the videos of seeing that buffalo coming back and stuff. And I saw one girl talking about that they all get ones, that there's pregnancies going on. Like, they're just so excited for this to be building back. But it's crazy is when they keep talking about different things here. And I'm like, these people, this is their country. They're the original people. And when you say stuff like that, like, those people should be the ones that are, you know, who's leaving and who's going, if we're going to go down to land and stuff like that. And because they're the original ones to sit there and say American and all that stuff, which is very trippy. Man, there's so much of this that was been playing out in my head. So there's a bunch of different things about it. So let me see. Because one thing is and all these different people and their comments and stuff, and when I hear them, it's just like, God dang, just so divisive. And this is my land and this is mine, and they better not be, and that's why we fight for it, and that's why we won that war, and shit like that. And it's like, I said something because they're like, those some of these things that these people say is just like, what? And then this one starts telling me, like, well, it wasn't even their land to begin with anyways, because before that it was the Vikings and all that stuff. It's like, oh my God. So anyways, the it's like, this is my fucking point, dude. It's like, there's nobody who has it, but when you're sitting at, but one of the things that has been, and a lot of people on the 23andMe, I think is what it was, where people start figuring it out or something, in Mexico, was that they are Cherokee, they're all from tribes here. And at the time when they were pushing all those people, they took a whole bunch of tribes, they pushed them into Mexico, and they told them, and they became under Mexican. And so they thought that they were Mexican, and now they're finding out that they're not Mexican, that they are from different tribes and stuff like that. So there's just so much missing. It is like a it's like a misdial, a miscommunication. There's just like so much lies to people. And so, but when you put that together about what they did and stuff, and when you think about who was doing this, it's always this fucking crown motherfuckers. And they go with the church, and they use the church like they're a team. And so, and how they do it kind of is like, because there's people who are still like, well, we would do that now and stuff. And it's like, okay, well, we're talking about our history when they're doing that, but we're going towards the future. So have we not grown? Have we not figured something out? And to me, it's like, well, what would God want? What would God want? What does our soul want? Nobody can own the earth. Nobody can give us borders. Anybody who steps up and tells us that we have borders, it's like the trolls. It's like, so you got to take a knee to this troll? It's like, God didn't, it's not God's word, it's this troll's word. And then where does it come from? And then it came out of these, I don't know, 13 original families that took on the crown, I guess. And so you take a town, and so this little town, this little village or whatever, is just doing fine. And then the crown comes and takes it over, takes the lands, and because they want taxes, they want to live off these people's hard work, and they want these people to pay them. So they put a flag over them and say, we own you, this is our territory, and you are here, and so you are part of our territory. And then they, and depending on different people's point of view or their allegiance or whatever, because there's been periods of time where that happened and the people fought back, and then there's been other periods of time where the people felt protected or something. So the and then they would just spread, and then they would go to the next village, well, we're taking that one too, and they take that one. So everywhere where there was hardworking people, they started taking them over and putting them under their flags, and then giving them a boundary, a territory, because then the other flag had that territory over there. And they even, the different flags, the different crowns, started fighting over territories and stuff, because that's in that show, The Vikings, where the battles that were going and stuff, like the English crown fighting the Scottish crown, the Irish, I don't know, yeah, I guess there was the Irish king, or were they always under England? Or I don't know. But one thing is I keep seeing this video. I really want to go to this place. It's the Bristol Soul Ballroom, and I keep having these videos pop up of these people dancing at this ballroom, and when I was seeing them, I was like, this has got to be London. This over here, I don't know, country music or something. I don't know. People are not. And so, anyways, so this ballroom and all these people dancing, and it's like, it's different kind of dancing, and it's like this shuffling kind of dancing or something, where some people in the comments were like, oh, that's like from the 70s and stuff. It is kind of like the 70s, but it's also kind of a mix. It's like a kind of a cultural mix a little bit, I think, of this dancing, because it does have like rhythm and blues kind of soul kind of to it too, like some of those guys who dance. So anyways, it is so cool. It's all these young people in there dancing. It's like, fuck, man, this is like, that's my jam. That's what I like to do, is go into these places and dance and get into the group, all these people. I don't know. I just thought it was so cool. Anyways, so they get the people under the flags, and then once they form these alliances or whatever, then you're really creating a boundary for yourself. So, like I've said, it's like that what can seem like it's there to help you becomes a prison. And so they imprison us in these borders. It's not a safety thing. They give us a prison. And so I know as things progress, we're going to a more open border kind of thing, because it is a restriction on humans. And this is what we're switching into, is like God's law. And so we're going away from this corporate law, these trolls telling us, you know, that we need to take a knee, we need to do what we're told, and we got to be restricted, we need our papers, we need to pay our taxes, we need to pay our insurance, we need to have good credit score, all this fucking shit. And they just build it and build it and build it and make it more and more of a stricter and more containment. And that's the direction they're headed for, is more and more containment, more and more structure around our time, around our energy, around our period of life. We're here to have a life experience, to explore this place, explore ourselves, to interact with people. And so, you know, they want to keep us in their little game, and structure our time and our energy and our focus. So anyways, I know that that's getting broken down. I know, I mean, I'm not just making it, I can see it. I can see it. And, you know, to me, if I can see it, it's coming. I don't know when, but it's coming at some point. But it's just weird to be able to see something and know the peace behind it, and know the tranquility and the better part of it, and then to watch the people fight against it. It's like, there's so many of these people who don't want that. There's so many people who are still in the mindset of battle and who's the strongest wins. It's like, that energy's not going forward. Sorry, folks. That's not going forward. I mean, you're going to go into peace on earth, but you're going to knock anybody down who gets in your way. That's just not the way it's going to be. We're going to go peace on earth, because all of the souls that feel peaceful and feel like, you know, like, that they know how to have ethics and morals and integrity, and it's a natural instinct inside of them, and so they don't need a book or a script or anyone over them telling them, and then and they don't feel like that they need to take over or you know, own the earth and sell it to somebody to make a lot of money off of it or something. Like, there's just going to be, it's like a whole change and it's happening, like, right now. Like, we're growing. Like, I've been growing through this whole thing. My perceptions and stuff have been becoming bigger. Like, when it very first started, back when I first started waking up to all of the bullshit, was at first I just kept being like, you know, how they can't sell us the land. How can they own the earth? Like, I would tell this to be, like, I'd be talking to people, I'd be like, how can they sell us something? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I would be like, another one too would be, that got me, I would say to people, is like, do you know that there's people who don't kill people because the Bible tells them not to? Like, that's why they don't? Like, they literally don't kill somebody because the Bible told them not to. It's like, why don't they feel it inside of themselves? Like, you don't kill somebody because it's wrong. It's like, isn't that weird? I say that all the time. And people just don't hear you when you, it's just, people are in their own minds, I think, a lot. There's a lot of things that, like, people don't hear. But also, when you're not awake to certain things and you're not at that vibration, you can't interpret it. And you can't interpret things before you're ready to interpret it. And everybody's on their own flight plan. So if and when you're meant to interpret it, then it will happen naturally. And so And it's when things come to you. Things come to you. It's like you'll understand more or something. Some things will come to you, like, but it's different. Like somebody coming to you and telling you something, like me coming and telling you something, and I came to you or something, and I'm telling you, and you don't understand what I'm saying. But those times, it's more like planting the seed, because then the universe will bring more information or more people giving confirmation or whatever your plan is, it will play out. But it is, but there is, I don't know, because sometimes people, when you're talking to them, they can't understand anything you're saying. You just sound like, and so they don't understand, and they're just like, whatever, whatever, you think about weird shit. And but at some point, then well, yeah, that's weird, because at some point, then all of a sudden they can have something happen, and then they can see it different. But at the same time, they have a memory of you saying that they didn't even remember. Planting a seed doesn't always make the people have an awareness. Sometimes it just goes in their thought pocket, and it just goes about their business, and then all of a sudden somebody starts watering it, and it starts sprouting, and it's like, oh. And then they can question themselves, like, man, why didn't I understand what they were saying then? Because I've had that happen so many times. Like, man, somebody said blah, blah, blah. I didn't understand it at all at the time. But then years later, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, now I get it. Now I get what they're saying. But we're all going at our different paces and stuff. So, yeah, and some people, you're just meant to, they're just meant to give you a little seed there for your little thought pocket. And it's meant to blossom later. So it's not that you're doing something wrong. It's just that there's more to go with it. And so everybody's got a very unique kind of path of understanding and what they're here to work on and stuff like that. So, anyways, I know that we're going to go towards this independence. And I don't know if there will be any kind of like restriction or just a way of tracking or something, because even tracking us is against our rights. So I don't know that they would even track us or something, but I think we're going to go towards this very open border, but it's going to be all under respect. And it's going to be different, just like how, one thing is like Donald's waving the fucking federal dick in some of these people's faces. And, but the federal is also going to be going down, because it was just another block on top of their control. So they were going to control us under this bigger heading. And so that is going to go down, because that's where all this shit is being shown, how corrupt, and it's just a bunch of fucking money laundering, because that's all they feed off of us for, is our money and our energy and shit. It's us giving to them so they can live how they want to live. And so and so many of them, like all these people now, it's being shown like how much they're worth, and they had nothing going in, because they're all fucking corrupt. They're all a bunch of fucking corrupt sellout. And some of them, it's kind of just sad, because some of them, it's out of fear. They got themselves in something that they didn't know how nefarious and deep it was. So they just went along with the ride, because what else are we going to do? Well, there's other things you can do. You can quit. You can go the other direction. But anyways, so but he is now over, yesterday what I was hearing was over the sports things of men playing in women's sports and stuff. There's some states that are going to continue it. And one of these ladies was arguing with him at one of these, he was talking yesterday a lot. There's a lot of it. When you go on these things, he's alive a lot. Like, he's breaking news. Trump is here, and we're going to go hear what he says and talk to him. And so with this one, he was talking to these senators or something. And he, this one, and it was so crazy, because you went in the comments, and the people were like, hell yeah, They were all on the side of this fucking governor. And they want him to go against Trump. It's like, these TDS people are just whacked, man. They are so wacky. And what is getting worse and worse is now there's, they've got 1-year-olds and 3-year-olds transitioning. And so, of course, it's got to get worse and worse and worse because something's got to trigger people to wake the fuck up. And so he said, if you're going to be continuing that, we're pulling your federal funding. You get no money from the government. And so you're on your own, dude. And that's what we're doing to every state. He said, you'll find out. And so he's not messing around, and the thing is like all these people who think like that's a protective thing, they don't understand. No, it's not. It's horrible. It's a prison. And not only that, this is science experiments on people. They're so goddamn. It's just remarkable how much that they see this other side without seeing, to me, the truth. It's so weird. And so anyways, there's going to be more of the, federal dick swinging, but it's also going to be going away because we are going to go down to more of a smaller government. So, and it probably will be all this waving, dick waving is going to be like also what pulls people more into that, wanting to go smaller government. We don't want, these ones telling us what to do. And then, we'll go more down into communities. So there seems like that there's going to be some communities that are, are still carrying on the agendas. And that's going to be the darker, when they talk about the 3D and the 5D and stuff, that 3D, that kind of shit like that, where they follow along with these agendas and keep them going because I don't know, because to me it's like your soul would be telling you something different. So it seems like it's a real disconnect from their soul. It seems like science worshipers, 3-dimensional worshipers, other people have more control over them. And so, because when you are in touch more with your soul, there's nobody who's over you. It's like, it's like the battle of the gods or something. It's like, you're not over me. You're not over me. And you start feeling that real power behind your independence. And so you can really see how these people are super dependent. And when you become super dependent, it's because you're trying to get something. So they're trying to get something. Like to me, it's like this virtuous, like we're better than you kind of, and it's all being fed through propaganda and a strange philosophy. So they are very misled, but they're trapped in that kind of like dependency of, being accepted or being a good person or something in this world. So they've still got to work through that stuff. So there will be some of these places that will become more like that. But see, the people will keep separating. People who don't want that are going to be going to other places. Like people are going to be moving towards places that are more offering what they want. And that's what this big shuffle kind of right now is going on. But I think there's still going to be some direction over where to go, which there was also another big fucking sky thing. I saw 2 different videos of it. I was like, this kind of shit I can't believe is not, just being like, it's crazy looking. Like this one thing was so fucking huge, and all these lights going and shit, and up in the sky, it was like, and it was close. So I don't know if it's just like over some towns, and then you see the video or you don't see it, or if people, if they're making it up and doing it on a whole bunch of different things, I don't know. But everything is going to keep on going towards this thing of telling us the truth about what we are, who we are, and the aliens and all that stuff, and the money and the control. And the money thing is going to keep falling apart. Because I'm sure there's going to be some drama with this Fort Knox thing, because they're making such a big deal about going. And he was sitting there telling a bunch of these governors and stuff yesterday, well, I think it was the governors he was talking to, and telling them, you don't get money from us anymore if you don't follow along. If you're going to go against what I'm saying, then you don't get the money. And so the which is going to also weed out a lot of the governors, because people are going to start seeing. I just couldn't believe it, though, in the comments. It must be bot people or something. They're all like supporting this other person, because I think the majority of people want change. They want sanity. They are sick of all of the fucking bullshit and the nonsense. And so that's going to kind of define in directions where people want to go, and it's also going to expose a lot of the corruption in the state and the government and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of stuff still playing out, but there definitely will be, moving towards where you're more in alignment. But I think a lot of these governors and stuff, they're not going to be there to form their own cities and stuff. They're going to be going down. They're going to be going to the get and being got. So oh yeah, and yesterday there was a whole big thing of there was arrest going on somewhere of doctors. So see, I'm telling you, all this shit that I've been saying, I'm telling you. And there are going to be more arrests of more doctors. There'll be nurses. There'll be definitely CEOs and administrators and all that shit. People who just, follow orders and shit, they're going to find out. There's repercussions to that shit. And so there's going to just there's going to be a lot, and it's going to keep going fast. I think it's going to just go faster and faster and faster, where people are going to lose their, equilibrium. They're going to just start feeling like, fuck, man, things are going so crazy. But maybe that's where they're going to, be giving us a little bit of money to kind of keep us focused or something, because somehow they're going to do it. They're going to get people to focus, and they're going to get people to wake up. They're going to get people to change, and they're going to get people to change their desires and their priorities and stuff through all of this stuff that's going on. So man, my stomach is growling like crazy. But also Stella's snoring. This guy over here snoring. There's a lot of grumblings. So Max isn't snoring. I still can't get over his, oh my God, he's so over-sexualized. And then they said, some dogs are just humpers like that. But you don't want to shame them. You don't want to hurt them or anything like that. But my mom thought, well, for one thing, you could drug them or train them out of it. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I've been this has been going for a while, but in the articles that she was reading, it was saying it could have something to do with a UTI, or it could have something to do with boredom. Well, I'm sure it's boredom. They are so fucking sick of being in the garage, I can't even tell you. And so, and I just keep telling them, don't worry, we're going to get a place. We're going to get a place. It's going to have a big yard. Everything's going to be fine, you guys. But anyways, I think that a lot of the misbehaving and stuff like that has to do with our circumstance. So, so I wasn't trying to have some immediate fix or anything. I didn't see it being that. But it's like, God, it's so gross. I just know to talk about it. But, I don't need anybody to come in and fix it or tell me I'm, doing it all wrong. It's all my fault. So anyways, that, there's just a lot of, things, it's like a lot of things are in motion. So a lot of things are in movement, but I think that there will definitely be some direction on some land or some areas or something. And I don't know if it'll be how they'll do it. There's so many different ways now at this point it can play out. They've got so much going on. I did not think that they were going to be doing the money like this. Oh yeah, and Cash, boy, he's out there. And there's so much to expose with these agencies, and he is going to town, and you got RFK. They're all going to town. There's a lot going, even though there keeps being a big focus on what Elon's doing and stuff. But it's just so weird how the people say things and the people don't even realize, like, they're talking, like, it's like they're talking backwards and they think they're not. It's weird. It's like they just don't see things right at all. So, anyways, they're going to keep doing this stuff to expose the money thing, because the money thing is going to fall apart. The dollar is going to fall apart. Our currency, our current currency, is going to fall apart. And because their petrol dollar was fake ass money. And so it's got to go. And so it's going to fall apart. And they're going to play it out because people will freak out and they won't be able to handle life. And so they got to play it out in a slow reveal. And so, but it's going to lead us into this gold standard, and I don't know how they're going to play it out, because they're obviously not just going to say things over, well, a few years back we got all this gold from the Vatican, so it's over here. I don't know. I don't think he's going to come out and say that. I don't know how it's going to work. It's going to probably be like, well, we don't have no money. We're in a lot of debt. I think we should probably see what's going on with this BRICS thing. Let's see what's happening with that or something. I don't know. We'll see. But that's where we end up. We end up in a global financial equality, and everybody is not fighting for hierarchy and money anymore. Everybody's got the things they need, and more opportunity of development, developing yourself, because the more you develop yourself, the more you'll see that will come back to you. So it won't be the same as like having to go out and work for it. It's more of developing yourself, becoming good at more things, and being more interactive with people, selling yourself, like, well, I can do that, yeah, sure, and then always not trying to just be greedy. Well, I just gotta have a lot of money, I just gotta have a lot of this and a lot of that, to find your fulfillment in, it's kind of like that, finding your fulfillment and being able to do things good that other people can't, and then being appreciative. And it's more fulfilling than, getting a check and spending it all in the first 24 hours, So, anyways, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's just going to keep changing in our priorities and stuff, and it's going to keep going, and it's going to keep exposing this stuff. It's going to keep whittling away the corruption and all of the control over us, and keep getting us down to a place where it's more independent and more freedom. And so I just know that that is going to include, we're not going to be, like I said, it seems that there's going to be one flag, and it's going to be a global humanity flag, like a bunch of different hands, all different colors. And I don't know, it looks like a green and white with these hands holding, but I don't know, this could just be a representation kind of thing of, to kind of show like we're all under, we're all the same. We're all under one thing. We're not dividing under these different plateaus of control or something. So, but that, and I don't know how long it takes us to get there. I don't know. But I just know that that's where we're going. And at that point in time, it's going to be a lot of abundance, a lot of freedom. But I do think that there's going to be, more cities and more places opening up, because there's going to be more of these cities that are falling apart, and they're not going to just keep fixing them. And maybe this is a part of it, why they're going to be like, well, that governor, Detroit, or what is that one? Detroit, Illinois. Is it Detroit, Illinois, or Detroit, Michigan? It's Detroit, Michigan, right? So Detroit, or so Michigan. So that governor or whatever. So if that governor is going against the federal guidelines now, and so then they say, well, we're not giving you any money. And so then that state is going to just slowly decay. But there will be other places that will be opening up, but those places will be under a more freedom kind of thing, not like, well, you have to, transition your kids or whatever the fuck. You got to let kids decide or something. I don't know, all their weird shit. And so, and a big thing is because like in high schools and stuff, they're letting boys grow their hair out and go in and be in the girls' sports. Well, some of those boys, they're not even just doing it to beat the girls. They're probably doing it because they just want to be in there touching the girls and stuff. Like, it is pervy. And so anyways, there's going to be stuff that's going to have to be changing. You know what's also weird is back a long while ago, there for a while there was girls who became so good at some sports and they wanted to start playing against boys. And there was some weird shit around that. Like these girls that wanted to play football. I think there's girls, I'm pretty sure I've seen a video of a girl wrestler, but I think that's co-ed wrestling. I don't think she's just wrestling boys, but could be, but she's a badass. But some of these girls that were also like that who wanted to play football on football teams. And I remember there was a lot of weird shit around that. Like they wouldn't let him, they couldn't let him and stuff like that. But now it's like a boy can grow his hair out and be like, oh, well, I think I'm a girl, so I want to play on the girls' volleyball. And so, I don't know. Just a bunch of weird shit. So anyways, he's like not having it. He's like, nope. And if you're going to not follow, you're not getting the money. So the slow decay happens at these places or whatever. And people start moving out and going to different places. Other places will start opening up. The places I think that are going to open up are going to be places that are going to be more safe anyways. Because I think a lot of these places, you know, like how many times they're going to hit South Carolina, how many times they're going to hit Florida, Texas is getting their ass kicked. But Texas is still a lot of Texas is still on the new map. It's like whittled down a little bit, but a lot of it's still there. But New Orleans or Louisiana, that's gone. There's a lot of places that are just going to be gone. It's like California is not going to exist anymore. And half of Washington State's going to be gone. I think Nevada, Arizona, there's some places that are going to be gone, and they're going to be under the water. And so there's going to keep being, people are going to have to keep leaving these places. But I think it seems like they're going to do it more at like this kind of pace than to be like, oh my God, we're in a pole shift. The landscape's going to change. Everybody hurry, rush. We're going to all build houses right here. And, and it'll be like, 100 billion people all trying, so it's going to go at a different kind of pace because there's one group that wants to create chaos and there's one group that wants to calm the chaos. So, in the calming the chaos is towards the light. But anyways, when you're trying to figure stuff out, to me, it's just like tune into like your soul and God and what would God think? What would God want and stuff? And what would the positive energy be? And I don't know, there's just a lot of people who just can't go in that direction. They just can understand like at the three-dimensional, well, you have to do this, you have to do that, you got to do this. It's like, no, you can keep doing that, but no, things are changing. And everything's changing. That's all I can fucking say. So anyways, I'm going over my time because it takes... Yesterday it did the same thing again when I started downloading. It was going and going and going, stopped, and then when it started all back over. And then so I started another one and it started going faster, so I deleted the first one. So I don't know, there's weird shit for sure. But it never... My thing, it shows it has obstruction somewhere, which I know the house and the trees are obstruction, so it's going to say there's an obstruction. But it never goes... It always has connection to a satellite. Because every time I go on and look at my thing, it's always connected to a satellite. So it works. But there's still, even if I were to, go get land somewhere, I would not be able to plug it in. I would have to have some kind of generator or source of energy in order to plug it in to use it. So that's one thing. So because I don't know. I guess probably some of these people who just do a lot of traveling, because there is a thing too with campers, which maybe I should go back to the camper thing. I just see Stella having a real problem getting through those little halls. This is really shown. Like, well, she needs a more open space. And so, I don't know. I know what I really, really need is just my own place and my own land. And my own, my own little fortress, my own little compound or something. But you know, I want to have a camper or something so I can go and travel around and visit people and have my own place to stay, because the restrictions in hotels, and then you can't just go and take your dogs into everybody's house, like not everybody's into, and people who do have who are into dogs have their own dogs. And so and now I have 3, so and one's a little papoose here. So anyways, let's look at my tooth and then we will get going. Is, yeah, that's it right there. Hello. And that is looking, I think it's looking so much better. So anyways, I feel good about it. So anyways, I don't know if I'm just doing a lot of rambling, because I do feel it's like everything is just weird. Everything is weird. It's like we're in a dream, but some of us are awake in the dream and some people aren't. And it's weird. So anyways, but remember what we're doing here. I'm telling you, what we're doing here is learning how to love ourselves, love everyone, and how to have a loving day, because it's totally up to you. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.